Hi, welcome to Compassionate Care. I'm Kamis, your host, and today I have a special guest, Anna. Welcome, Anna. And Anna and I were talking, and we were discussing about emotional unavailability and what is that. So, Anna, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I want us to just break that down. What is emotional unavailability? What does that look like to you?
So to me, emotional unavailability looks like when you're not able to communicate how you feel. You're not able to express your emotions in an effective way. And because of that, that can trickle into different aspects of your life if you're not able to express how you feel.
Right. So you're saying trickling in other parts of your life. So how does that affect you as a young person? And let's look at, okay, so let's start with the family dynamics. Um, I know for instance, growing up in a Caribbean culture environment,
Hmm.
I know parents are emotionally unavailable
Yes.
for their children. They're always working very hard. They're out
Yes.
there, hitting the pavement,
Hmm.
and they're having two jobs to try and hold down the mortgage, and so the children are left as latchkey kids, getting it, going to the home by themselves.
Hmm.
And when they get home, they're so tired, they're not able to communicate with their kids. Now, what was your family dynamic? Was it similar to what I'm expressing, or was it somewhat different? Because I know you were born in the you
England. I
in
was born in
England.
England.
You're born in
Yes.
England,
Yeah.
right? But your parents are
All
quite
right.
diverse,
Yes.
right? Your
Yes.
dad is from.
My dad is from Ghana, so I have an half African
Yes.
household, and my mom is Caribbean, so she's from Jamaica.
Right. So you
Hmm.
have that mixture. So how was that growing in that? So I know you came over from UK over here to Canada,
Yes, I
right?
came here when I was very young.
Right.
Um, so I would say how that
How
how
would that impact you?
yes, how
Yeah.
it impacted me in the sense of my parents weren't big on emotions. Like I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of parents don't really talk about how they feel and things like that. And because I emotional well-being and mental health is a lot of it's has grown. It's more talked about now
Now,
in
right.
this generation, but
Yes.
in my parents' generation, not that much people talked about it, and it was more of a like just stop, don't cry, just brush it off, just keep going, just
Yes.
don't focus on how you feel, just do what you need to do, right?
And toughen up,
Yeah,
right?
toughen
If
it
things
up.
are going on, they're like, "You're
Yes.
strong, you can do it.
Yeah.
I know you can do it. Just
Yeah.
just just get over with it. Wipe your tears and keep going, right?"
Yes. So
So,
yeah.
so was there conversation in the home? I know within my family, there was conversations with my dad, but my mother was
Mhm.
not one to communicate. She was very quiet, and she would be the one to say, "You know what? Why are you crying? Like, what are you
Mm.
crying for? Do you want
Yeah.
me to give you something to cry for?" So, I
Famous
had
saying.
those two dynamics, right? I have a parent that was communicating all the time.
Hmm.
I had to show, express that, to say, okay, my father, his punishment would be 2 hours of sitting down explaining, what am I doing? What have I done wrong? What am I going to do different? And I would say, why can't you be like a typical parent? Just beat
Just
me,
beat
like,
me.
get it out the way.
Yeah.
And he said,
So you
you're
don't have
not
to
going to learn.
talk.
You're not going to learn, right?
Hmm.
So my father was a communicator. Now, in your household, was that dynamics, was it this, like, somewhat, you have one communicating, one not communicating, or was there no dialogue at all with the parents regards to child and parent
Yeah,
relation?
I
How
would
was that?
say both of my parents, there was little dialogue,
Right.
so it wasn't completely absent. The dialogue was there, but it wasn't on like deeper levels. Like, why do you feel this way? Like, why are you upset? It
Right.
was more of a, like, as you said, like, let, let me just beat you, get it over and done with.
Yeah.
Stop doing this, stop doing this. Not There wasn't really a why are you doing this.
Yes.
So I had to learn at an older age to be able to um, realize how I feel, like to be able to express my emotions by going to therapy and
Yes.
just learning how to validate my feelings and express my emotions in an effective way. So,
And I'm glad you mentioned that because, a lot of people shy away from therapy and not realizing that it's beneficial.
mhm.
And especially if you grow into an environment where you're not able to express yourself, that can be problematic, especially into a relationship, right?
Yes.
And so, I'm going to dive into that a little later. So I just wanted to just say also too regarding so you talked about your household and the, nonverbal, there's not that much communication happening there, and how it has affected you,
Mhm.
right? So because of that, you now having to now seek help in how to express yourself. What are the things that you found out in therapy that was helpful? You mentioned going to therapy. What did you find that
Mhm.
was helpful to help you to express yourself now as an adult? Um, what are some of the tips that you learned through therapy that you can share with the viewers?
Yes. So some of the things that I discovered is a lot of self-care and reflecting is important
Hmm.
to really ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now? And also realizing that you can't control how others feel. You can't um by just because you are learning about your emotions and you're learning about how to express that effectively, it doesn't mean when you tell someone what you're saying right now is hurting me. It doesn't mean that they're going to be like, oh, uh, it doesn't mean that they'll validate you
Right,
because they're on their own emotional journey as well, right?
right, right.
So, um, in therapy, you learn a lot about how you can react to
Hmm.
certain things and realize that you can't control the actions of others, and that's okay, because sometimes by people seeing that you're growing, that inspires them to want to learn to grow too. So that's something I would say.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And so now, how or did that impact your relationship, now that you're an adult, and
Yes.
relate dynamics with other people, male, for
Yes.
instance,
Okay.
dating
Getting into
relationships? I like
the
to go
nitty
into nitty
gritty.
gritty. That's me.
Yeah.
Like to dive
Yeah.
in. Let's dive in. Let's dive in.
So what I discovered recently is because I struggle with identifying my emotions, I go for men who also don't talk about emotions that well. And I didn't even realize that until I talked more like with my therapist about it. So because I grew up in a household that didn't really talk about emotions, and the term is emotional unavailability. When I look for men, I don't really. That's not a thing that is needed in the relationship, in my opinion. But now that I'm realizing, like, emotional availability is very important, and so yeah.
It's big. It's big. It's big. So you know what? This is important. The reason why I'm saying that is that there's a lot of, if you go on the internet right now, the big talk is narcissism, right?
Mm.
And you're having, females coming on to say that, they've been in a narcissistic relationship. The males were takers, 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 and they're the
Mm.
ones that are givers,
Yes.
right? And so growing up in an environment where you have parents that were not, talking, and there's not a lot of communication happening for
Mhm.
you, a child parent relationship, or even both parents,
Mhm.
and you are a giver. I know that, just by interacting with you for the last couple of years, you're
Yeah.
you're loving to hug and you love to give and so on.
Mhm.
That puts you as a person at risk for being in a narcissistic relationship.
Mhm.
And it's quite interesting that you're saying that, going to therapy, your therapist is now identifying that, you now are drawn to these individuals. So this is very dangerous. And this is why I'm having this conversation, because of what's happening out there, the buzz that's going on out there on the internet, where a lot of females get themselves trapped into these relationships, especially caregivers. People who are caregivers, people who are very loving and kind,
Mhm.
they end up into relationships with men that are just takers.
Mhm.
They want, they're the king, they sit on the throne, and you should serve them, right? And the day in which you stop serving is when you see and feel the wrath, right? And so um, now, what was the recommendation now that the therapists say regarding, avoiding and um, coming away from relationships like that? Because since you have that tendency, you were bred and born to be a giver, and what they recognize is that individuals like yourself are prone to now be into a relationship with individuals that are nonverbal as well, and that are takers. Now, what was the recommendation that they say that you need? How could you avoid this from your therapist? Was there anything thing that they said regarding that, or was there anything, any mention regarding avoidance of such? Because
Not specifically
right,
when it comes to like the narcissist men,
right,
but I think in my opinion, I would share that boundaries is very important.
very much.
Very, very
Yes,
important. So
yes.
knowing when to say no
Mhm.
and being firm on your boundaries
Mhm.
is very important. And even this day and age, I personally would say the term of setting boundaries for your boundaries, because
I
there's
like that.
so many times that you can be like, okay, this is a line. I'm not gonna cross it. But then when you get close to the line and he doesn't respect your boundaries,
And he's
then
pushing, he's
yeah,
pushing,
and he's
pushing at your
pushing,
feet.
it's
Yeah,
very easy to cross it.
right.
So there you, being firm and implementing boundaries, and knowing when to say, okay, I'm just gonna leave it. Like you're clearly not respecting me or my boundaries, so you're not the one for me. So that's very important to just be strong to. And
And I
yeah,
think also too is knowing who you are, knowing what your worth as well, your
that's very
self-worth.
important for
Because
sure.
a lot of times when individuals don't know their self-worth,
Hmm.
because that's not poured into them,
Hmm.
then again, they're seeking validation from others.
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of these individuals who are narcissistic will pour into them
Hmm.
because they have either a means to an end, right?
Hmm.
Because they have a goal at hand. So, um, this is very important for individuals to just know who they are, learn about themselves, get therapy if you feel, again, as you did, right? You recognize that there's a need, a gap within your life, and that you know that you need to seek out professional help. And I believe in professional help. I believe in getting counseling. So individuals out there, if you are also like Anna and myself, who grew into two different environments where one is a talker and one isn't, and you might go on one side or the next side, swim from one pendulum to the next, where you might seeking a validation because the other parent didn't affirm you, then you're now going to seek validation from others. It's good to, again, as I said, seek out, some professional help if you need to, just to, make sure that you are healthy going into relationships. You know who you are, what you're about, and what, again, your boundaries are,
Hmm.
what the expectation is, and stick to it. Don't not navigate from it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate this conversation. And thank you for being vulnerable,
Yes.
showing and expressing, out there, regarding relationship. I know these things are deep things, and sometimes it's a hard thing to talk about, but it's important as a young person as well, too, right?
Yes,
To
for
to
sure.
say that, we do have, sometimes we have struggles,
Yes.
and it's good to talk. And if you don't know how to express yourself, especially a lot of what's happening right now is you have also young people who are into gaming. So you have, within a home, you might have your siblings, right, growing into a home where everybody's on a computer, they're on their device, everybody's texting away, there's no communication, there's nonverbal
Mm,
everywhere, right? And so, what I'm seeing now is a society of individuals growing up not knowing how to express themselves,
for sure,
whether
yeah.
male or female. I'm finding that a lot of young people, especially those who are heavy on their phone, their devices,
Mhm.
um, they don't know how to communicate. It's a big problem,
And just to
communication.
even add to that,
Hmm.
there's being on your devices, there's always that void of connection. You don't feel like you're
Right.
connected, even though you're scrolling and you're seeing so many different people living their lives. You have that feeling that you want to be connected. You want to have people in your life to even like communicate with. I feel like that's also very important to have a support system in your life,
Yes.
to be able to talk with them about different problems so you don't feel like you're alone. And
And it's
yeah.
good to be into support groups as well, to
Hmm.
get other young people like yourself, have communicate conversations going. For those who are going off to university and colleges and so on, have groups going, create social groups, social clubs. I know you're big on that, big on social,
Yes.
socializing and
Yes.
getting out there and so on.
Yeah.
So, you know, um, yeah, get active and keep the conversation going, especially this day and age. We need that. So, at this time, I just want to thank you so much, Anna, for coming on and sharing
Thank you
again.
for having me.
Yes,
It's great to be
and
here.
yes, and so, for those out there, again, as I said earlier, please, I just want to encourage you. for those who are having struggles with communication, get some help. Talk with a therapist, talk to a friend, talk to those, if you're into a faith community, get involved with your faith community, get involved with your church, and be active, keep active, and yeah, things will open up and you will blossom and grow. So at this time, I just want to just say thanks for coming on, and I pray and I hope that you will just share this video with those that you know would be a benefit. And we will see you next time with our next video. Bye for now.
Bye.